My 16-year-old son needed a chance at his dream. I asked my parents to help fund his place at music college. They turned me down, saying they couldn't afford it. Then, just days later, they announced a £25,000 donation to their own charity at a posh gala dinner. I didn't shout or confront them. Instead, I waited. And 6 months later, everything in their perfect Cheshire world began to unravel. It wasn't my first time sitting in a sterile office chair, but it was the first time I'd done it while staring at acceptance letters that might as well have been lottery tickets. Freddie sat beside me, his fingers tapping out silent melodies on his thigh, a nervous habit he'd had since he was small. The admissions officer at the Royal Northern College of Music had kind eyes, but her words hit like cold rain. "Freddie's audition was exceptional," she said, sliding the papers across her desk. "We'd love to offer him a place in our specialist program for gifted young musicians. However, the fees are £18,000 per year." Freddie's tapping stopped. I kept my voice steady. "And there's no financial assistance?" "Limited bursaries, yes, but the waiting list is extensive. Most families find private funding or—" She trailed off diplomatically. "Or they don't go." I understood. Freddie has autism, but he experiences music the way most people experience color. Intensely, completely, as if it's woven into his DNA. When he plays piano, the world makes sense to him. When he doesn't, everything feels too loud, too bright, too much. This program wasn't just an opportunity. It was oxygen. I'd saved £6,000 over 3 years, skipping meals, working weekend tutoring sessions, selling everything that wasn't nailed down. But £18,000 might as well have been £180,000. That evening, I sat in our cramped Manchester flat, calculator in hand, doing maths that wouldn't add up. Freddie practiced scales on his keyboard with headphones, lost in his own world. That's when I made the call I'd sworn I wouldn't make. My mother answered on the third ring. "Sarah, darling, how lovely to hear from you." "Mom, I need to talk to you and Dad about something important." "Of course, sweetheart. We've just got back from the most marvelous cruise to the Greek islands." "The suite had a balcony that, Mom," I interrupted gently. Freddie got into the Royal Northern College of Music. A pause. "Oh. Well, that's lovely, dear. Though we've always thought perhaps something more practical. He's incredibly gifted. This is his chance." "I'm sure he is, darling, but you know how these artistic pursuits can be. Your father and I were just saying how important it is for young people to have realistic expectations." I closed my eyes. "The fees are £18,000 a year. I've saved some, but I need help with the rest." The silence stretched long enough for me to hear Dad's voice in the background asking who was on the phone. "Sarah needs money for Freddie's music college," Mum said, not bothering to cover the receiver. "How much?" Dad's voice came through clearly. "18,000 a year." I heard him whistle low. "Christ, Sarah. That's not exactly pocket change." "I'm not asking you to pay for all of it," I said quickly. "Just help me cover what I can't manage. It's his future." More silence. Then Mum's voice, careful and measured. "Darling, we'd love to help, but things are tight right now. Jeffrey's pension isn't what we hoped, and with the economy being so uncertain." "You just got back from Greece." "That was booked ages ago, dear. Before we really understood our financial situation." Dad took the phone. "Look, love, maybe Freddie could try again next year? Or perhaps there's a local college that would be more appropriate." Appropriate. There was that word again. The same one they'd used when I got pregnant at 19. When I chose to keep the baby. When I decided to raise Freddie alone rather than settle for his father, who thought autism was something you could discipline out of a child. "Right," I said quietly. "I understand. We're not saying no forever," Mum added hastily. "Just the timing is difficult." I hung up without saying goodbye. Freddie looked up from his keyboard. He doesn't always pick up on social cues, but he reads my moods like sheet music.
They said no, he said.
It wasn't a question. I nodded. He went back to his scales, but I caught the slight tremor in his hands. The way his shoulders tensed. For Freddie, disappointment doesn't explode. It implodes, creating a quiet black hole that swallows everything good. That night, I couldn't sleep. I scrolled mindlessly through Facebook, torturing myself with other people's success stories, when I saw it. A post from my mother, shared just 3 hours after our phone call. What a wonderful evening at the Cheshire Children's Charity Gala. So proud to announce our donation of £25,000 to support music therapy programs for special needs children. Every child deserves a chance to shine. Hashtag charity work, hashtag making a difference. The photo showed my parents in black tie, holding an oversized check, beaming like they'd just cured cancer. Behind them, a banner read Williams Family Foundation, 15 years of giving. I stared at that post until my eyes burned. £25,000 for music therapy for special needs children. Posted 3 hours after telling me they couldn't afford to help their own special needs grandson pursue music. I wasn't angry. Anger is hot and temporary. This was something colder, sharper. This was clarity. The next morning, I called in sick to work and spent the day digging. It started as petty curiosity. What exactly did the Williams Family Foundation do? But curiosity became investigation when I found their charity commission listing. Income, £412,000 over the past 5 years. Expenditure on charitable activities, £47,000. Administrative costs, £365,000. I'm not brilliant with numbers, but I'm not stupid either. Even I could see that their administrative costs were suspiciously high for a charity run by 2 retired people from their living room. I kept digging. Their trustees included my brother Oliver, his wife Camilla, and something called Community Music Services Ltd., a company that, according to Companies House, was owned entirely by my parents. The charity paid Community Music Services £60,000 a year for program delivery and administrative support. But when I searched for evidence of any actual programs, I found nothing. No beneficiaries. No case studies. No programs running anywhere in Cheshire or beyond. I found their Instagram account. Beautiful photos of musical instruments, children playing piano, heartwarming quotes about giving every child a voice. But reverse searching the images showed they were all stock photos, purchased from Shutterstock. One photo made my blood freeze. It was Freddie, aged about 10, playing piano at a school concert. I remember taking that picture. I'd never given anyone permission to use it, certainly not for charity marketing. The caption read, "Success stories like this inspire our work every day." They were using my son, their own grandson, as a poster child for a charity that had never helped him or any child like him. That evening, Freddie found me sitting at the kitchen table surrounded by printouts. "What's all this?" he asked. I looked at my son, my brilliant, honest, trusting son, and made a decision. "Your grandparents have been running a fake charity," I said. "They've raised hundreds of thousands of pounds meant for children like you, and they've kept almost all of it." Freddie processed this with his usual methodical precision. "So, when they said they couldn't help me, they were lying. The money exists. It's meant for exactly what you need. They just don't want to give it to you." He nodded slowly. "What are we going to do?" "I don't know yet, but we're going to do something." I started with a solicitor, Amanda Patel, who specialized in charity law and offered free consultations. She listened to everything, took notes, and at the end, leaned back in her chair. "This is fraud," she said simply. "Clear, obvious fraud. But proving it will take time, and your parents will lawyer up the moment they realize what's happening. So, what do you suggest? Build the case quietly. Gather evidence. Then hit them with everything at once." I also contacted Jamie McLeod, a journalist I'd found through Google who specialized in charity investigations. He was interested, very interested. "Fake charities are my specialty," he said during our phone call. "But I need ironclad evidence. Can you get me financial records?" "I can try." What I needed was access to their house, their documents, their computer. And I knew exactly how to get it. I called my mother the next day. "Mom, I've been thinking about what you said. You're right. I was being unrealistic about Freddie's music college." "Oh, darling, I'm so glad you understand. It's not that we don't want to help." "I know, Mom. Actually, I wondered if I could bring Freddie around this weekend. He's been having a difficult time, and you know how much he loves Granddad's piano." There was a pause. They'd bought a baby grand with charity money, though I didn't know that yet. "Of course, dear. We'd love to see him." That Saturday, I arrived at their Wilmslow house with Freddie and a portable hard drive hidden in my handbag. While they fussed over Freddie and showed him their new piano, I excused myself to use the loo and slipped into Dad's study. His computer was password protected, but I knew my father. His password was Jeffrey 1947, his name and birth year. It took me 15 minutes to copy everything onto the hard drive. Meanwhile, Freddie played beautifully for them. They cooed and clapped and told him how talented he was, how proud they were of him. They even took photos for the charity website. On the drive home, Freddie was quiet until he suddenly said, "They're not good people, are they?" "No," I said. "They're not. The piano was nice, though." "Yes, it was. Shame they won't let me learn to play it properly." That night, I sent everything to Jamie and Amanda. Within a week, they'd unraveled the entire scam. The charity was a shell. Community music services existed only on paper. Every donation went straight into my parents' personal accounts. They'd funded 3 Mediterranean cruises, a kitchen renovation, Oliver's house deposit, his children's private school fees, and yes, that baby grand piano. But the worst discovery came when Amanda dug into the probate records. "Sarah," she said during our meeting, her voice gentle, "when did your grandmother die?" 8 years ago.
"Why?"
"According to these records, she left you £75,000. The room tilted. "That's not possible." My parents said everything went to estate taxes and legal fees. Amanda slid the documents across her desk. "Your parents were the executors. They transferred your inheritance into the charity's account 6 months after her death. It was used to fund Oliver's business startup. They hadn't just denied me help. They'd stolen my inheritance and used it to give my brother everything I'd never received." That night, I told Freddie everything. He listened with his characteristic calm, then asked, "What's our plan?" "Our plan." I love that he said our. "We're going to destroy them," I said. "But we're going to do it properly." The perfect opportunity came 2 months later, Oliver's wedding to his second wife, Camilla. A lavish affair at a Cheshire country house, with 200 guests and catering that probably cost more than my annual salary. I wasn't invited, of course. But weddings are public events, and the venue had a public car park. I sat in my car with Jamie, watching through the windows as my family celebrated. Oliver looked handsome in his morning suit. My parents beamed with pride, playing the role of distinguished charity philanthropists. During the speeches, Dad stood up and announced that he and Mum were donating £50,000 to the Williams Family Foundation in honor of the happy couple. The crowd applauded. Champagne glasses clinked. That's when I pressed go live on Facebook and started streaming. "Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Chin Williams, and I'm sitting outside my brother's wedding, which I wasn't invited to. I want to tell you about the Williams Family Foundation, the charity my parents just announced they're donating £50,000 to." I held up the documents Amanda had prepared. This charity has raised over £400,000 in the past 5 years, supposedly to help disabled children access music education. My son Freddie is autistic and musically gifted. He was accepted to the Royal Northern College of Music, but my parents, the same people donating £50,000 tonight, told me they couldn't afford to help with his fees. The viewer count was climbing: 47, 82, 156. What they didn't tell me is that they've been using photos of Freddie to promote their charity. Photos they took without my permission. Photos of their own grandson, who they refused to help, being used to raise money they keep for themselves. 389 viewers. 602. Someone was sharing the stream. They also didn't tell me that this charity is a complete fraud. Almost all the money goes to administrative costs, specifically payments to a company they own themselves. They've funded their lifestyle, their holidays, their home improvements, and my brother's business with money donated by people who thought they were helping disabled children. 1,247 viewers. The comments were exploding. Oh, and one more thing. When my grandmother died 8 years ago, she left me £75,000. My parents told me it all went to legal fees. Actually, they stole it and used it to fund this fake charity. 2,891 viewers. The documents I'm holding prove all of this. I've already filed complaints with the Charity Commission, HMRC, and the police. But I thought you should know what your donations actually paid for. Through the window, I could see commotion inside. Someone had shown my parents the live stream. Dad's face was purple. Mum looked like she was going to faint. Anyway, enjoy the reception. The champagne was paid for with charity money, so I hope it tastes expensive. I ended the stream and drove home. The video went viral overnight. 50,000 shares. Local newspapers picked it up. Then national ones. Charity fraud exposed at Posh wedding made the front page of 3 tabloids. Within a week, the Charity Commission had frozen the foundation's accounts. HMRC launched an investigation into fraudulent gift aid claims. The police opened a criminal investigation. Oliver was struck off as a solicitor for being a trustee of a fraudulent charity. His law firm fired him. Camilla's family disowned them both after their wedding became a national scandal. My parents hired expensive lawyers, but the evidence was overwhelming. Freddie, with his perfect memory and attention to detail, became a star witness. His autism, the condition they'd exploited, became their downfall. The criminal trial was swift. Fraud, theft, misuse of charitable funds. Mum got 18 months. Dad got 2 years. Oliver faced bankruptcy and a separate trial for professional misconduct. I recovered my inheritance plus damages. The real charity I established with part of it has already helped 12 young musicians access education they couldn't otherwise afford. Freddie started at the Royal Northern College of Music last month. He's thriving. Last week, I received a letter from my mother in prison. She wanted to apologize, to explain, to ask for my forgiveness. I showed it to Freddie. He read it carefully, then looked up at me. Some people don't deserve second chances, he said. They had their chance when you called them. They chose money over family. I couldn't have said it better myself. They taught me that blood means nothing without loyalty. Freddie taught me that justice, like music, requires perfect timing. And sometimes, the most beautiful sound in the world is the sound of consequences coming home to roost. Too far, or just far enough.
You tell me.
Either way, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and stay tuned.